Hey, today I'm going to be reviewing Luigi's Mansion for the GameCube. So, this is a game that it originally came out in 2001 for the Nintendo GameCube. It was a launch title, I'm pretty sure. And it's a definitely interesting game. It's like a survival horror, I guess, but I would consider it more of like a puzzle exploration game with a little bit of horror elements. Certainly not graphic. It's got its own Nintendo spin on it, obviously. It's a game with Luigi as the main character, in fact. Not the first one, but the first good one. And the game looks really good. It's really fun to play, and I'd definitely like to review it for spooky season. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is talk about the story, mainly because the story is pretty basic. It's Luigi enters a contest, or rather he doesn't enter a contest, and he wins a mansion. And being rightfully confused about winning a mansion that he didn't vouch for, or try to vouch for, he goes to investigate. And I assume that Mario goes with him and maybe they get separate. I don't know. Look, Mario ends up going into the mansion without Luigi and he disappears. Mario is missing, too. But, you know, Luigi being Luigi and seeing that his brother is gone and being a genuinely good brother, goes out to go get him. And he goes into this mansion and, you know, he's looking for his brother, and then he runs into a old warmonger named Professor Elvin Gadd, who happens to have a vacuum cleaner, and he's not very good with it. And Egad brings him back into his, he's got like a shed that's like a basement laboratory, and he takes him back there and basically is like, alright Luigi, I need you to take this vacuum and go suck up these ghosts, because they got attacked by ghosts. I'll show the clip. But basically, Luigi's in there with a vacuum cleaner because an old man gave it to him to go find his brother in the mansion. That's the story. It's really simple, but the story isn't what makes this game fun or memorable at all. The thing that makes the game memorable is its gameplay and its environment. The gameplay is pretty simple. You suck up ghosts with a vacuum, and you don't die, and you collect money by humping furniture. I know that sounds a little odd, but if you haven't played the game before, it definitely sounds odd. But if you have played the game before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You have to explore this mansion, you have to solve pretty simple puzzles. The game was designed for children, after all, let's be honest. It's pretty easy. You just have to explore the mansion, but it's not too easy. You still have to think a little bit, and you'll still have those moments where you're like, oh, I get it now. I'm supposed to do this, not this. Because I've been humping this wall for 15 minutes and nothing has been happening. So, mostly the environment and the mansion itself and many ghosts that you'll encounter. So there's special ghosts they're like mini-bosses. And they're called portrait ghosts. And there's like a dead family and like a dog. And look, the baby boss fight is fucking creepy. Period. I don't care what you say, it's fucking creepy. That baby boss fight is nightmare fuel. But the portrait ghosts are pretty good fights, and they've got good character. And I know there's Atlas, who is he's like a bodybuilding ghost. You have to hit him with these body bags or punching bags rather that are in the workout room. And so you have to use some elements of the environment to damage some of these ghosts, and some of them are just pretty normal and just involve timing, and you get rewarded pearls based on how good you do it. So if you do it in one suck, you know, you'll get the most amount of money, and the reason you want the most amount of money is because at the end of the game, which spoiler alert, the mansion disappears. Luigi uses this money to buy a real mansion, and canonically he actually gets a D ranking. We'll get into that a little bit later, but yeah, the environment is probably the best part about this game. The puzzles they're clever. They're nothing special, but I couldn't remember a puzzle from that game that is crazy memorable. But I know that they're all pretty solid. There's no puzzles that I thought were total bullshit. I didn't really need a walkthrough. I think there was a time where I looked up something because I was just being an idiot. It was once I looked it up, I was like, wow, I didn't even need to do that. I was about to do that. So really, it's just about the environment and the puzzles. The horror is pretty secondary. If you're 12 years old, this game is still pretty scary, I bet, but Used to scare the socks off of me. Alright, so now we're gonna talk about the sequels, but just before that I wanted to mention the music. It's really good. The music is really good. That's all I have to say. The sequels. We have Luigi's Mansion 2, and we have Luigi's Mansion 3. In North America, it was Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon was its name on 3DS, and in Europe it was just 2, because, I don't know, couldn't have been 2 Dark Moon, I guess. It would have been too complicated. But either way, the sequels are alright. They're okay. But they don't have that, there's like a certain style that the original game just has, and it oozes it, and it revels in it. It's also got a much more, they lean a lot further into the art style with the first game. The second games, the ghosts look really bad. I don't know how. They're just little hand ghosts. They look like SpongeBob in that Halloween episode when they shave him up and put the freaking towel over him or whatever. They don't look that great. And yeah, Luigi's Mansion 3 does look really good on a graphical, on an objective standpoint. Obviously, it's going to blow the original, or even the 3DS port of the original, out of the water, which the 3DS port of the original is actually really solid. I'd recommend that port over the GameCube port, actually. But besides that, 2 and 3 they're solid games, but they're not as good as the first game, in my opinion. So that's going to be about it for this video. I would definitely recommend this game. It's a very nostalgic game for me. I grew up playing it. I grew up playing a lot of GameCube. And it was definitely scary as a kid. In fact, it was terrifying as a child. But it's very nostalgic as an adult. And I think a lot of the ghost designs, the music, even the puzzles and the environment of the mansion, I think they've aged really well. And I think the GameCube port, it's a very good version of the game. I keep saying port, it's the original. The original version of the game is pretty good. But the 3DS port, I'd have to recommend. It's easier to get a 3DS nowadays than it is to get a GameCube. You're not going to scratch up your cartridge, okay? I mean, I guess you could, but the cartridge will be more reliable than the disc in the next 10 years. I can guarantee it. And yeah, I think the 3DS just adds some better features, and I think that's just the better way to play it. It utilizes the motion controls, things like that. It's a pretty solid port, if a little clunky. But yeah, that's about it. See ya.